Yeah, a little shake there, like a greeting. Like it's the green weenie.
What's the green weenie?
What? The green weenie? You don't know what the green weenie is?
No.
Okay, this guy should expect you to know this. Like 1967, 68.
Okay.
Pirates, really good team. Bob Prince
Okay.
came up with a thing, the green weenie, that you would shake at the opponents
Oh.
and put a hex on them.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
It was like a thing that he in his mind, of course. So then some entrepreneur, might have been like a local supermarket. I have one. Our friend Jay Slocum, one of our listeners gave our friend Jay Slocum a green weenie.
Is it like a stuffed thing?
No,
or is
it's a plastic like pickle weenie thing.
Okay.
It's maybe, I don't know, 6 inches, and it's filled with like little rice or little bean thing, and you shake it, it makes a noise.
But the rice and beans have been in there since 1967. I feel like I'm not going to seek out the green weenie.
I got the Altoid box.
Okay, that's good. Is that kind of makes the same kind of noise? Is that what you're doing?
Kind of. You know what? That's what made me think of it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
That's why I said that.
Yeah, I never heard of that. I have.
Check it out. Look it up sometime. Christy, maybe you look it up, please. Please. That's your first job. Here, is the producer. She's going.
She's
Great.
excited. Great. I'm going
I
to
gotta
Google.
search the
Right.
green weenie.
Great.
Anyway.
Which probably in today's world is just a bad idea. Just skip it, Christy.
I'm sorry. I didn't even think about that. I mean, what the heck?
My gosh.
Well, you're anxious. You hold on to those papers like it's your last job. Huh?
Are you saying that to me?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
Because
that's
you want the top 4 at 4.
No.
Now I'm talking green weenie.
right. I was just thinking about the show as it was getting ready to develop here, John. Just contemplating what was ahead of us.
Okay. Threw you a curveball.
Yeah.
All right. You want to go? You want to jump into it?
Well, sure. I also want to say a couple things.
To me or to our audience?
Well, a couple things to you
All right.
and a couple things about the show.
Okay.
Coming up on today's show.
This is to me?
This is to the listening audience. At 5:35, we're gonna have a conversation about why people can't have conversations.
That should be a good conversation.
It's a trend. People feel like they can't share their true opinion in public. People can't say what they really think. If they're at a dinner party, maybe they're at, a block party, a wedding, whatever.
Somewhere.
People feel like they have to self-censor
Some people.
at all times.
And I get that. Some
The majority
people do
of people are saying that they feel like, anyway, we're talking about that.
All right.
John at 5:35. Also, the cost of control, why we crave control, the anxiety it gives us, and the real power God promises. Sharon Hody Miller at 5:10.
Okay, I have some thoughts about that, but I'm not going to tell you.
What, some thoughts about control?
Yeah, I'm
it's
afraid
okay.
to bring that up.
Of course. You can talk to your therapist about it. Plus, 450, regretted baby names. I should never have named him that.
Oh, how about Gwyneth Paltrow? She named her baby Apple.
Apple.
Does she regret that? No, she probably doesn't regret
Probably
that.
not.
Hey, Apple.
Because once it's your child and that's what you call them,
Yeah.
you can't say, well, I really don't like that name anymore.
Right. The story in our family was that they were going to call me Floyd. That's my grandfather's name. And I was like, whew, dodge that one. Hey, Floyd's here.
That was a close
Party, Floyd's here.
That was a close call.
That sure was.
And Greg Clugston live from the nation's capital coming up in just a little bit. Also, I may have developed a shellfish allergy. We'll also talk about that and many more things.
Oh, my gosh.
Over the next 2 hours.
All right. Well, that's a heck of a lot to unpack right there. All right. I kind of missed the green weenie conversation, to be honest. Anyway, without further ado, Kath, please, news stories of the day. Give us the top 4 at 4.
For Monday, John and Christy, and the rest of you. August 22nd, 2022.
It's kind of like a throwaway to
It
our
is.
audience.
Number
Kind of
one.
like the rest of you. Like,
You're right.
right?
I
Seriously.
should have said to the listening audience, it's Monday, August 22nd, 2022.
Thank you.
And to the rest of you people here in the studio.
There you go. I feel better about it.
Number one. Russian paratrooper Pavel Filatyev fled Russia this week and published a 141-page journal of the war in Ukraine, detailing some particulars about what has happened in the South. His account is in the Washington Post today. It is absolutely worth a read, and it paints a picture of an ill-equipped force, a demoralized group of people, and this is a quote, "Due to artillery shelling, some villages nearby practically ceased to exist. Everyone was getting angrier and angrier. Some grandmother poisoned our pies. Almost everyone got a fungus. Some people's teeth fell out. Many discussed how, when they return, and they're talking about Russian soldiers here, they will hold the command accountable for lack of provision and incompetent leadership. Some began to sleep on duty because of fatigue. Sometimes we managed to catch a wave of the Ukrainian radio where they poured dirt on us, called us orcs, which only embittered us even more, and all I can say is I survived, unlike many others. My conscience tells me that I must try somehow to stop this madness. We did not have the moral right to attack another country, especially the people closest to us.
That's the top layer of war is hell.
Number 2, one of the worst droughts on record in Europe has parched the continent's major waterways. But in this instance, it is super interesting. The low levels of the Danube River have showed a long submerged village and World War II era battleships. And if you haven't seen the pictures, you have to check it out. It's absolutely crazy. They're calling it a graveyard of sunken German warships. And here's the thing, they're also still filled with explosives and ammunition. The vessels were part of a Nazi Black Sea fleet that sank in 1944 while fleeing Soviet forces. More ships are expected to be found lodged in the river's sandbanks loaded with unexploded ordnance. The estimates are 10,000 explosive devices that are still live that are in that water. I mean, there are other things, like there's a Roman bridge that was built during the 1st century that was uncovered under the Tiber River.
How low is the water?
I mean, it is so hot in
here,
Europe.
We have all this water in Pittsburgh.
It is so hot in Europe. Anyway, ships now have to squeeze through a 110-yard stretch of the Danube, which is nearly half of the available waterways to which they have become accustomed. Number 3, John. Almost half of second-year college students say they would not choose to be roommates with someone who supported a different presidential candidate.
Whatever.
I mean, a majority say they also wouldn't go on a date with someone who voted differently. And nearly 2/3 of them say they couldn't see themselves marrying someone who backed any different candidate. These are the findings of a new online NBC News Generation Lab poll of the class of 2025 as they begin their second year of college.
Check the box.
Democratic respondents, John, much more opposed to rooming with someone who voted differently in 2020. 62% of Democratic respondents said they would probably not or definitely not room with such a person, compared with Republican respondents, which are only at 28%. So apparently the Dems are more upset right now than the Republicans. And number 4, just before Mass on Sunday, parishioners right here at St. Boniface Roman Catholic Church in Pittsburgh's North Side got a zap. The large church was struck by lightning. Lightning hit the dome of the church at 8:55 a.m. There were about 150 people in the church preparing for Mass when the bolt hit and apparently caused a thunderous crashing sound, according to today's Trib. Apparently it damaged some tiles on the roof, also caused part of the church's electricity, phone, and internet to stop functioning temporarily, but no one was hurt. St. Boniface, if you're keeping track, is nearly 100 years old and on the National Register of Historic Places. And that's your top 4 at 4.
Thank you. I mean, the storms over the weekend were intense. I mean, the lightning, we were outside at one point.
Did you see the photographs from Dave DiCello?
No. Oh, yes, I did.
Pittsburgh photographer extraordinaire.
Fabulous.
They
Boom.
are unbelievable.
How about all those storms are going on, and those guys are on top of Mount Washington. Like, you want to be up there next to the railing.
Are you kidding me?
No, thank you.
Next to the railing, holding onto the railing.
Exactly.
It's not a good place to be.
All right, take a quick break, as we do always on the Monday show. First guest up out of the chute, Greg Clugston. We go to the White House next. Pittsburgh's Christian Talk. It's the ride home here on Word FM 101.5.
101.5 WORD.
I'm Alan Jackson, and I have the privilege of joining you each day to open the Word of God and ask for His input. And I'm convinced the challenges we face in today's world are more spiritual than they are political or economic. Exploring God's Word together is refreshing. It equips us for everything that comes our way. Join me, and let's see what God has in store for us today.
A fresh look at Scripture, weekday mornings at 9:30. Alan Jackson Ministries on 101.5 WORD.
Before Bamboo HR, I
feel like crying just thinking about it.
We were still handling everything via paper, and we literally had paper stacked.
It was all in spreadsheets and like folders.
From the moment I started using it, I felt calmer.
As soon as we started using the Bamboo like onboarding checklist, I mean, it was extremely easy.
Head count, turnover, years of service. Like there's just so many different reports that I use at different points in time.
I'm like totally set free to focus on the people, to focus on development, to focus on team dynamics.
It's freeing me up to do more of the stuff that actually matters in HR, which is interacting with people, learning from them, and then building stuff for them.
Everything is in this one place. I can't even imagine what it would be like without Bamboo HR.
We're Bamboo HR, and we'd love to set you free to do great work. Come try our award-winning all-in-one HR software for free with no strings attached. Visit bamboohr.com/HR for this free trial offer. That's bamboohr.com/HR.
Our biblical beliefs about marriage, human sexuality, and gender are increasingly countercultural. In fact, our views are often considered offensive and infringing on personal freedom. Sometimes this makes Christians look like the bad guys. How should we respond? Request your copy of the book Being the Bad Guys, available today at truthforlife.org.
In marriage, life has a way of pulling you apart. But Family Life's Weekend to Remember Marriage Getaway helps you come back together.
Hey.
Join us in Pittsburgh, September 23rd through the 25th, or in Akron, October 14th through the 16th.
Brought us a lot closer together.
Register today and save 50% through September 19th at weekendtoremember.com.
When it comes to your child's education, do you feel like you have a partner in your current school? Or is it more like you're on your own? As you look ahead to next year, now's a perfect time to consider a quality Christian education with a school who will be a true educational partner for you and your family. Many of our area's finest Christian schools are offering half-price tuitions for first-time enrollees, like Robinson Township Christian School. Find a school that's right for you at wordfm.com/tuitions.
In the heart of the nation's capital, Greg Clugston joins us live from the White House. Greg Clugston is the SRN News White House correspondent. Greg, happy Monday to you. How are things?
Hey, things are great, John.
Very
good to be back with you and Kathy. Hi.
Thank you. Always a pleasure, Greg.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good to see you, Greg.
Yeah,
okay, let's start with the president. So the midterms are coming up faster than any of us wish they were, because that means that our phones are going to be ringing. I'm going to be getting random text messages from people I've never heard of and who are not in my district. But the president, I know this is a big push for any president. Talk about how President Biden is handling it.
Right. Well, it's interesting because the president's wrapping up his first really extended vacation of his presidency this week. He's been in South Carolina. He's now back in Delaware, but he's back at the White House this Wednesday. And on Thursday, he's not traveling far at first. On Thursday, he's going to be in Maryland, in neighboring Montgomery County, Maryland, just across the Washington, D.C. line. So it's just a few minutes away. But it's a grassroots Democratic Party-sponsored rally and event, fundraiser, all the rest. And it's just a signal of what is to come. As you point out, this is what presidents and politicians do as we gear up toward the midterm elections. And again, historically, the party in power in the White House often loses ground in the House and Senate races on Capitol Hill. That has been the story that everybody has been talking about in terms of political predictions for the last number of months. But there have been a few changes over these last number of weeks, whether it's the abortion ruling by the Supreme Court, whether it is a string of legislative accomplishments the Democrats have been able to have the president sign into law just in the last couple of weeks. And then also the type of Republican candidates that have won the primaries in a handful of states, including Pennsylvania, and around the country, how well they'll do in the general election. So those are just three examples of some of the elements and factors that are going into play as we look at November.
Greg, let's talk about the Department of Justice and abortion. There is big news that does have an impact across the country, yeah?
Yeah, it was 2 months ago, the Roe v. Wade decision overturned by the Supreme Court, and we've heard about these trigger laws. These are laws on the books in various states that if Roe was overturned, then and the issue went back to the local states, which it has now done, then at some period of time, 1 to 2 months after that action by the Supreme Court, then these state laws would essentially automatically go into place. They'd be triggered into action. And that's what's happening this Thursday in 3 states, Idaho, Tennessee, and I think maybe Texas is the third one. I had to double check on that. But the Justice Department, so the Biden administration's Justice Department, is arguing, legally challenging the state law in Idaho, which is almost a near ban on abortions in the state. And again, that's taking effect starting Thursday. A judge at a hearing today listened to the challenge from the Justice Department and was echoing some of the concerns of the Biden administration. And this judge is going to issue a ruling by Wednesday to see what happens. And a lot of other states are watching Idaho to see what happens in this first challenge, and that could show us what to expect as other states are coming online with their own laws.
This is going to get confusing simply because now we're going to end up. Now we've got the abortion issue, which left the judicial branch right at the overturn of the ruling, back to the legislative branch, and now it's being dragged back into the judicial branch.
Right. That's exactly what's happening, Kathy. And it's not a surprise. People on both sides, activists on both sides of the issue, knew that if Roe was overturned, that this would happen. But now we're actually living through it and starting to see it play out. It's a little messy. It is, you're right, going to be confusing. Already has been in some cases. And of course, then you're looking at pockets of the country that have vastly different rules when it comes to abortion and abortion restrictions. And a lot of pro-life leaders and activists have been, obviously wanting to have this happen because they have a lot of support at the state and local level to do exactly what is starting to happen. So that's where we stand right now.
Craig Clugston with us, SRN News White House correspondent. Okay, so let's talk about how the Democratic Party feels. And I'm not asking you to do like an emotional read, but what you hear inside the Beltway. Now, you mentioned before that the opposing party is the one that's likely to make gains in midterm elections. But I'm wondering how the recent, passage of, I don't know what we're calling. Are we calling it the inflation bill or the I don't know. We've called it so many things. The passage of that huge piece of legislation is going to impact how people are going to vote in November. Do we have any read on that?
Well, we don't. We don't have a read in terms of how it actually is going to play with voters, obviously, till we get closer to November or even then. But the White House and Democrats are rallying around these legislative accomplishments after, the Biden legislation on a variety of fronts was just
stalled out
in limbo. Yeah, limbo on Capitol Hill for months and months and months. And then there was just kind of this flurry of recent activity. So there was a gun safety law, for example, that was passed. Republicans primarily against it, and it was again much smaller in scope than what Democrats really had wanted. But they're going to promote that. They're going to promote this Inflation Reduction Act. I know there's been some talk about the labeling, the name of that piece of legislation. The idea that there are a lot of nonpartisan analysts, not even including Republicans, who have looked at that law and are saying that, the impact on inflation could be negligible, even with all the spending and all the rest. So it's really interesting to see exactly what the messaging is going to be. But it is going to be a focus on accomplishment, and then they're going to be flipping that question around, the Democrats will, to say, well, what are the Republicans saying how they will deal with these problems if they gain control on Capitol Hill.
I wonder if that's only in politics, where you can call something. It doesn't really mean what it is, but people are still going to call it that anyway, and everybody nods their head. I guess it's just who we are.
Well, the other thing is there are certain pieces of any legislation that, when someone just says, hey, what about this piece or what about this idea? And a lot of people say, hey, yeah, I like that. When you look at the entire piece of legislation, that's when there are sometimes a lot of problems and a lot of add-ons and tuck-ins and all the rest. And so that's going to be interesting because, and even when you talked about the abortion issue, certainly there are any number of people on either side of the issue that are perhaps one-issue voters, like abortion. That's their issue. They're going to vote either pro-life or otherwise. But that percentage of the total electorate tends to be a lot smaller. So when people say, well, the Supreme Court decision is really going to motivate voters, that very well could be the case. But whether it actually translates into the larger percentage of voters moving in a certain direction, that still is up in the air right now.
Interesting.
What about Liz Cheney, who, not surprisingly, lost her primary challenge or lost to the primary challenger? What do we hear from the Republicans about that? I'm sure some are, gloating and extremely excited because that shows, a more Trumpist lean to the Republican Party. What about more moderates? What's the conversation there?
Yeah, Liz Cheney, if you look at her voting record and her time in Congress, she has been, from all standards of what conservative lawmakers should look like and how they should vote, she's right up there. And we have to remember, she was in the top leadership of the Republican Party in the House of Representatives up until earlier this year. So she was a stalwart conservative by most, if not all, accounts. But she decided that she could not stand by what she was seeing with the activities involving Donald Trump. She voted to impeach. And she was seen by especially the stronger wing of the party or portion of the party, at least in Congress at first, that is more loyal to Donald Trump as being a sellout. And so she was forced out of her leadership position. And then, of course, as you just pointed out, Kathy, she lost her primary bid in Wyoming. So she may have support among moderates in the Republican Party, but those people are not speaking up very much because they know that if they speak up against Donald Trump, he's got sort of a revenge tour going on against people who have crossed him on Capitol Hill, and a lot of them have lost in their battle against him.
Right. Well, I think everybody knows that politics are very strange indeed, which never negates the idea for a second or a third act for people somewhere down the line. So the story's not closed on Liz Cheney, that's for sure.
No.
Greg Clugston is with us. He's the White House correspondent. Greg, talk to us about Ukraine. There's been a couple of notable bombings this past weekend. One of them focuses on a nuclear power plant, which is yikes for everyone.
Absolutely yikes for everyone. It's not only the largest nuclear power plant in Ukraine, but it's the largest in Europe. And so this is a concern not just for Ukraine, but for its neighbors and for all of Europe and for the world, really. In fact, it was an issue of conversation in a weekend phone call that President Biden had with the leaders of Great Britain, Germany, and France. And they talked about some other issues, but Ukraine was a key point of discussion on their agenda, and their concern about this military activity happening near this power plant. And there's a call from the global community now that to have international nuclear, inspectors to go in to make sure that, basically for a safety check at this facility to make sure everything's okay. And so you've got accusations going across the border between Russia and Ukraine. So it's a moment of concern. And this is the week we mark 6 months since the beginning of the Russian invasion.
Wow, I was going to say the time flies, but I'm sure it seemed like an eternity for the people who were involved. Greg, thanks for your time today. But before you leave us, I'm going to have to ask you something that's, off of the front page, so to speak, of the news.
We didn't do this when you were not here last week.
Well, that's sad.
Greg?
That's right.
It is sad.
It was a very cerebral time last week.
Was it cerebral? Well, I'd like to bring it back down for the common man.
I just said yikes.
Right now, right. News comes today in the Wall Street Journal that we may be able to improve your memory in particular, Greg, actually anyone's memory, by having your brain zapped with weak electrical currents. And I'm wondering if that's something that's of interest to you or whether that sounds like something that would disturb you too much to even investigate.
No, I'm not too terribly disturbed about the idea. I mean, there certainly is, neuro health is something that is a reality, I guess. I don't know a lot about it. I think the idea, though, just of, an outside force, zapping you is probably not the most welcome idea initially, but I wouldn't write it off entirely.
Okay, so he's open to the proposition. Yeah. John, how do you feel?
I mean, I'm pro neuro health, Greg. I'm telling you that right now, my friend. Yeah. No,
now you have to agree to a research study to do this. It's not like this is something you're going to pay $35 for, and a guy at the corner of 5th and Wood's going to do it.
Yeah. No, I'd sign up. I'd do it. Yeah.
Would you?
Heck yeah.
Would you be part of a research study? Have you ever done that, Greg?
I never have. I usually a few cards that we get in the mail, I don't either qualify for whatever they're searching for. But
it's coming.
You're right. It probably is.
It is.
Okay. Well, if we choose to do it, perhaps 3 of us could do it together.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Okay.
Like a little weekend getaway.
Right.
Hey, what'd you guys do this weekend? Zapped our brains with Greg Clugston.
Could be my most viral tweet ever. Thank you, Greg.
3 amigos.
It'll end up probably the same way. Thank you.
Greg Clugston, SRN News White House correspondent. Information about Greg, the excellent work of the White House, and SRN News, wordfm.com.
Our little brother says the word dodo word 40 times a day. Should we be saying that word on Word FM? You started it. Okay. So, here we are with Uncle Ryan with 3 reasons why you'd be a tweet if you bought a home this year and didn't use us at United Faith Mortgage.
The biggest reason is our direct lender advantage. We use our own money.
And there's no middleman, which means
we can often get you a better rate, saving you monthly and lifelong money.
We also pay $1,000 of your closing costs on all new home purchases.
And just as important to me as saving listeners money is the super service part. Our small team is specifically committed to Word FM. You will not get to a closing and find anything hidden. It's a partnership all the way around.
So, don't via, and we're done. We are United Faith Mortgage.
United Mortgage Corp, Melville, New York. NMLS number 1330. Pennsylvania Department of Banking and Securities. Mortgage lender license 22672.
MyPillow is having their biggest sheet sale of the year. Hey, this is John Hall. You've all helped build MyPillow into this amazing company. And now, Mike Lindell, inventor and CEO, wants to give back exclusively to his listeners. The Percale bedsheet set is available in a variety of colors and sizes, and they're all on sale. For example, the queen size is regularly priced at $89.98, but is now only $39.98 with our listener promo code. Order now, because when they're gone, they're gone. The Percale sheets are breathable, have a cool, crisp feel. These come with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible offer. There's a limited supply, so be sure to order now. Call 1-800-391-0954. Use promo code WORD. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener square, use the promo code WORD.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
MTS stands for Master of Theological Studies, and it's a 2-year degree for those who want to just deepen in their theological knowledge.
With an MTS degree from RPTS, you can be ready for whatever God calls you to.
We have 3 areas of concentration: biblical counseling, biblical studies, either the Old or the New Testament. You can also do one in doctrinal or historical studies.
Learn how to get your Master of Theological Studies degree entirely online at rpts.edu. RPTS, study under pastors.
Do you need new blinds or shades? Blindster.com offers custom-made blind shades and shutters shipped directly to you at prices less than big box retailers. Blindster blinds are easy to install and guaranteed to fit. Don't overpay for new blinds. Shop Blindster today and save big. Blindster.com.
We are everywhere. On your radio at 101.5 WORD-FM Pittsburgh, at wordfm.com, the Word FM mobile app, iHeart, TuneIn, and Odyssey.
Mostly cloudy skies expected for tonight with a low of 62. Variable cloudiness tomorrow with a passing shower. Tomorrow's high 79. Partly cloudy skies tomorrow night with a low of 58. Wednesday, sunny to partly cloudy skies. A pleasant day on tap will reach a high Wednesday of 82. A starlit sky Wednesday night, low 60. Partly sunny Thursday with a high of 84. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm forecaster Drew Shannon.
Kath, how's your memory? So good?
I mean, I think it's good. I'm terrible with details. I'm really, like I'll remember large scale stories, and then when I get this, I notice this a lot here at work, and then I go to get down into the nitty gritty of it, and I'm like, I can't.
Kind of mushy.
Exactly. So maybe I'm getting a little mushy. Do you think that could be it?
Well, maybe it's just the amount of things that you're reading.
Yeah,
as well,
I know. I think that's part of it.
But say you run into somebody you haven't seen for a while, from your distant past. Can you recall names?
Oh, I'm
quickly?
terrible with names.
Me too.
Horrible with names.
Hey, buddy.
Right. We've always been bad at names.
I got nothing.
And sadly, you'd think that with all the time we'd spend together, one of us would be bad and one of us would be good.
When we go to parties or we're somewhere, my wife is like the excellent front man.
With names.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
She's like, I say, you go in first, because then she'll go, hey, Jan. Hey, Alex. How are you? And I'm like, oh, yeah, Jan and Alex.
I love you guys,
that's
Jan
good.
and
Yeah.
Alex.
Otherwise, I'll be going, hey, you. Hey. How's it going? I don't know who you. I'm so sorry.
I don't
apologize.
know. I don't know if it's. I think it's probably part and parcel of the kind of work we do, but we know a lot of people, and they're from different parts of our tenure here, right? And so sometimes I just I look at somebody and I think, I know that I've met you, and I can't quite place where in the spectrum you fit.
Right. I mean, I think the thing to do is just to be straight about it instead of trying to hide it. If you hide it, you're going to get caught.
Yeah, but I feel so badly.
No, because people, everybody, oh yeah, we met, or I'm your wife.
Right.
Exactly. What the heck? Hey, come on now. What? I love you, babe.
Anyway. So I'd give myself a fair to middling grade.
Okay. Anyway, I asked this because now there's a new thing that you could improve your memory by zapping your brain with low levels of electricity. Not like the
people who were at St. Boniface Church on the north side Sunday morning?
No, that was not low level.
Oh, you're right.
That was not low level. Or One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I mean, those poor people,
Right.
There was a time in America where people were doing electroshock therapies just as a means of
controlling.
Yeah. Low-grade lobotomies. Mm-hmm. This is low, and this I think is something that's been happening for a while in medical circles, that they go, we can do very, very low grade for 5 minutes at a time or 10 minutes at a time, a few times a week, and it has some effect on mood, and now they're saying memory. Would you do it?
I've never been part of a research study. And I feel terrible saying that I'm reticent to do that, because I benefit from other people being involved in research studies.
No, what if it was post-research?
Well,
and they were like, this is like, now it's like established medical science.
Yeah, well, yeah, I would.
Really?
Yeah, but but right now it's in the research, still in the research arm.
Right.
You're talking about the article I think we both saw in the Wall Street Journal today. Mm. So this is a series of experiments that were testing the effects of non-invasive electrical brain stimulation on 150 people between ages 65 and 88. Mm-hmm. So it was very much in the let's try this out on you.
That's the people of a certain age category. Just saying.
When the researchers targeted the prefrontal cortex at the front of the brain with high-frequency currents, the study participants saw improvements in their ability to remember words from the beginning of a list. Mm. Have you ever tried that? Like memorize? Well, what am I even asking you for? You were an actor. You memorized lines for a living.
Tones. Yes. Entire massive things. Yeah.
I could never do that.
No,
never.
It's easier than you think. It's a muscle.
It's not.
It's a muscle.
I could never have done that.
No,
I could never have done that.
No, it's a muscle. Our friend down the hall here has got photographic memory.
I know that.
And it's a skill set. What I appreciate as an actor is people, 60 plus who are still working in the business to a high level. I mean, holy smokes.
Shirley MacLaine in Only Murders in the Building is 88 years old.
I mean, how
and
does
is a terrific character in there. Now, she doesn't have a big part in the series this season, but
you're running lines. Maybe there's cue cards, or maybe there's an ear prompter. There's a lot of ways to get around that now.
Sure.
Just saying.
Anyway, she's playing a great part.
All right. So we know her name. Happy to say it.
So yes for zapping?
Yeah, I do some zapper.
Okay. All right. Lee Kreitzer coming up next. If you've got a pastoral transition in your personal life or in your church, stay with us. We're going to talk about it next.
101.5 Word FM, WORD.
In a sense, prayer is simply talking to God. But the sheer power of the privilege of prayer is something to behold. This week on A New Beginning, Pastor Greg Laurie helps us harness the tremendous potential of effective prayer. It's a part of a fascinating study series in the book of Acts. This week on A New Beginning.
A New Beginning with Greg Laurie, weekday mornings at 10:30 on WORD.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-940-6161. That's 1-800-940-6161. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-940-6161. SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
When you're in college, sleep is important, but thanks to your studies and busy schedule, you might not be getting as much rest as you need. That old mattress you've had since you were a kid, though, it's just not cutting it. Upgrade your sleep experience with a locally made, hand-built mattress from the Original Mattress Factory. We offer a variety of mattresses, including twin extra long, to suit every comfort preference and to fit every budget. And we deliver right to you. Visit an OMF store near you or go to originalmattress.com to learn more.
Going to a jewelry store for the perfect custom engagement ring is so yesterday. At Mock & Company, your luxury concierge jeweler, your personal designer awaits. Begin the conversation at mockandcojewelry.com. Share ideas over social, email, or text. Get expert advice on metals and stones. Your exact 3D design will be ready within days, and the Monroeville team eager to begin your one-of-a-kind creation. Visit mockandcojewelry.com and book your virtual appointment today.
Is your school a true partner in your child's education? They should be. Pittsburgh's Christian schools agree. If you're looking for a safe environment where kids can learn, challenge, and grow with highly qualified teachers who are not only caring but accessible, where academic excellence goes hand in hand with character development, consider Christian education. Right now, local Christian schools are offering half-price tuitions for first-time enrollees, like Walnut Grove Christian School in West Mifflin. Visit wordfm.com/tuitions.
Did you ever have this happen to you? Sunday morning, you're at worship. You love your pastor. Everything's copacetic at church. And the pastor says, I'd like to take a moment to talk about something personal.
Oh, boy.
And you go, oh. And it's kind of like you feel like you know what's coming. Like you go back to high school, or someone's about to break up with you. And here it comes. And your pastor's about to break up with you. Is that the worst thing?
Well, you had that experience right after you started going to a church, right? You went to a church because you liked the pastor, and then he left.
He left. But people...
He might. Did you ever consider the fact that those two things were connected?
But that happens. I mean, that happens more, So then your church goes into some sort of limbo, free for all.
Yep.
There's can be a lot of angst, a lot of secrets, a lot of speculation, a lot of fear, resentment. I'm not telling people, if you've been part of a church for a while. Anyway, Lee Kreitcher's with us. He's got a brand new piece called Seamless Pastoral Transition, 3 Imperatives, 6 Pitfalls. Lee has been a pastor for many decades. He knows from what he speaks, and here to join us on the show. Hey, Lee, how you doing?
Hi, John. Hi, Kathy. Great to be with you.
Thank you, Lee.
Good to see you, Lee. So before we talk about the content of the book and what you're recommending, let's talk about who you are, what your history's been, so that people know that you've lived this yourself.
Yes, I was the founding pastor of Amplify Church, which is a non-denominational church here in Pittsburgh, and was involved. I founded it in my 20s and then later returned in my 50s during a challenging time at the church, and helped to oversee a revitalization of the church. So it went from being an aging, dying church to a multi-generational church. Part of my calling, I felt, though, was to raise up young leaders in the church and to hand the church to a next generation leader. at some point, which I did just a little more than 3 years ago.
I see. So, Lee, as you talk about leaving a church and coming back into a church, that passing the baton, the scenario that I painted before you joined us on the air, that exists in spades. And of course, there's lots of drama around things like that. And even before the pastor speaks to the congregation, things have been in the works probably for months beforehand. So can you talk about that from, the backstage perspective of what it's like from the pastor's own internal life, talking to his family, and then moving forward into church leadership before the news even hits the congregation?
Yeah, I think that one of the key pitfalls to leadership transition in the church is waiting too long. And it's when a pastor hits his or her 60s, late 60s, early 70s, mid 70s, late 70s, and there's this assumption that, wow, I'm as sharp as I used to be. My memory doesn't need zapped, as you talked about a few moments ago. Although it's dramatically different. The freshness of vision, the passion. And so I do think that there is an importance of asking this question. Am I responsible for what happens after I leave the church? If your answer is no, then just leave whenever you leave or you're forced to leave. But if the answer is yes, and I believe that for many leaders, it's important to come to that conclusion. I look at the model of Moses and Joshua. Moses could not ensure what would happen after he left, but he could ensure that Israel was left with a proven leader. And his last day was followed by Joshua's first day.
Lee, what about the determining factors for how pastors can assess for themselves when it is a good time to step aside? So for some people, 65 looks a lot different than 75 does or 55 did, and it varies from person to person. So talk about your assessment tools.
Well, I would not prescribe it for a specific age for anyone. I did about 10 case studies where I interviewed leaders who had gone through a seamless pastoral transition, and the average age was right about 65. So it ranged from 61 to 71. And so obviously some pastors serve much longer than that in their pastorate. And, I wouldn't be prescriptive to say here's the perfect age. But the real question is, what's in the best interest of the church? Because God won't be finished with you when you hand off the church.
Right.
What other baton is he handing to you to, continue to serve the kingdom of God? But what's in the best interest of the church? And I believe in churches that are losing connection with the next generation. Very often, a next generation leader is a key factor. And especially with so many of us as baby boomers, as pastors, we have to just take the topic very seriously.
Lee, one of the best examples of sharing leadership or pastoral transition was the sharing of leadership, where the pastor who had made the announcement, I'm leaving now, and then a search was going on for X number of months, then the candidate was brought in and the two of them worked together, outgoing pastor with new pastor, and they were there probably maybe 5 or 6 months until the old pastor said his farewells. I think that at the church that I was part of, that helped everybody sort of, okay, we're going to settle down here. We know both guys and some work's being done, so we have confidence moving forward.
Yeah, and that's what seamless pastoral transition is about. It's that there's an overlap in service to the congregation of the outgoing and the incoming pastor. So the outgoing pastor takes the humble attitude of John the Baptist, I must decrease and my successor will increase. The incoming pastor honors the outgoing pastor. And so the congregation sees the two of them serving together for some period of time. At St. Stephen's, it was just a few weeks. For us, it was many years at Amplify. And yet there is that time. When I grew up in a church where the way that a transition was handled was almost irrelevant, because the people in the church said, this is my church, this will be my church for life. I don't care if I have a good pastor, a bad pastor, or no pastor, this is my church for life. Well, those days are long gone. So the loss of momentum and mission that happens in a leadership transition when there's an unnecessary gap between the outgoing and incoming pastors. That's something that's best to avoid.
A terrifically practical book for you if you're a pastor or your church. It's called, can you hold up that? Seamless Pastoral Transition, 3 Imperatives, 6 Pitfalls. We're talking to Lee Kreitzer. He's the president of the Pittsburgh Leadership Foundation, but he was a pastor for many years and has written about this book, or has written about the topic through his own experience and put all of that insight into this book. Lee, what about factions in a church, especially when a pastor decides to leave or is maybe assessing whether it's time to leave? I can imagine that we're on his side, or no, we're on their side. I can imagine that you could quickly end up with a pretty poisonous atmosphere.
Yes, especially if, one of the imperatives is to model humility on both the incoming and outgoing pastors. If they are not doing that, it can go in wrong direction very quickly, because the outgoing pastor is saying, well, maybe I should stay and maybe I'm the right person. Mm-hmm. And there'll be so many people who are loyal, board members, church members, who will say, stay for 10 more years. And so letting go can be very challenging if there isn't this sense, this is what God wants to do.
Yeah.
But boy, what a great way to model this Christian virtue of humility in front of the congregation when it is handled correctly.
Yeah.
And when the people who are complaining or going into factions, it's not something that the incoming or the outgoing pastor, they just don't go in that direction.
And Lee, because so much is on the line, of course, that seamless transition, I would think for a lot of people, you go, there's no way we can fail at this. We do not want to fail at this. It's not an option. So all these things that you're writing about in seamless pastoral transition are really key things. But I think the fact of the matter is, you've heard, anybody who's been to church for any number of years, you do see instances where failure has happened and there's been a bad transition. Yes?
Yeah, actually, my successor, Jason Howard, and I were in Houston working with Vanderbloemen talking about the details of our transition. And we went to the Space Center, and I bought a mug that had those words on it. Failure is not an option. Because I said, we have to apply this. Well, after a couple times in the dishwasher, the words all came off. And I thought, apparently failure is an option.
Yeah. It's a government budget.
And it definitely is in pastoral transition. But if you avoid the common pitfalls and you practice the biblical imperatives, you have a much better chance, for the sake of the congregation, of having a positive handoff in a timely fashion.
Lee, I mentioned how practical I think the book is, but for people who haven't had a chance to look at it yet, and they're listening to this and they're thinking, okay, I could really use this, what kinds of things can they expect to find in the book?
Well, they'll find several case studies of different kinds of churches. About half of the case studies are from churches that actually, in their tradition, have forbidden the outgoing pastor from being involved in the selection or the mentoring of the incoming pastor. But an open-minded bishop gave their blessing on it. And so it's great to read case studies of different kinds of churches, because almost everybody could relate to one of these case studies. But then overriding principles, what were the things that made all of these situations work effectively and work well? And so what are those principles, and what are the pitfalls that they avoided? So that's really at the heart of what it's about. And so, yeah, if people want to take a look at it, if they're looking at a pastoral transition, and it's really never too early to consider it, because every pastor is an interim pastor. To hold the church lightly and know that the mission of the church is more important than me being holding this title.
Yes.
That's a critical attitude in the whole thing. And, as you mentioned, Kathy, I'm now the president of the Pittsburgh Leadership Foundation. So I'm in a whole new season of ministry. It's not like, oh, my church pastoral role ended, and so therefore I'm sitting around wondering what's God have for me. There's always something in every season of life that God has that's in which you can make a difference in the kingdom of God.
Amen to that. Well, Lee, thank you so much. I mean, this idea of seamless pastoral transition, a much needed resource for any congregation that's going through this. And of course, we honor you and thank you for your work with the PLF, whether it's at the prayer breakfast or at the prayer event at Heinz Field recently. We look forward to more things that you're creating and guiding through transition. So thank you, Lee.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-333-1750. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-333-1750. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-333-1750. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-333-1750. 800-333-1750.
In the good old summertime, in the good old summertime. It may sound a little corny, but it really is the good old summertime at the Springhouse in 84. The sun is shining, the cows are out on the pasture, the sweet corn is almost ready, the Springhouse produce tables are filled with freshly picked vegetables, and we're up to our elbows in ice cream. And you know what? That all makes the Springhouse a very fun place to be. Why not jump in the car right now for a country drive to 84? Come for homemade lunch or supper, or just to eat ice cream and enjoy sweet country air. Be sure to take home our famous chocolate milk and baked goods. Don't forget that. We're just 4 miles east of Washington on Route 136, and it doesn't take long to get to us. Call 228-3339 for more directions to the Springhouse in 84.
I think we can all agree that every moment at Eden shaped us and impacted who we are right now.
The faith modeled by teachers at Eden Christian Academy has a profound impact on students' lives.
We carry with us more than the academics, but a strong, Christ-centered foundation.
I would just like to thank my teachers, my mentors, my family members, and my friends who have done the best they could to help me in this next phase of my life.
Eden Christian Academy, enrolling pre-K through 12th grade at EdenChristianAcademy.org.
Are you ready to deepen your faith on a spectacular 9-day Mediterranean cruise? Join Alistair Begg in August 2023 to renew your vision, purpose, and connection with Christ as Alistair powerfully unpacks God's Word. Explore the biblical landscapes Paul encountered as he shared the gospel along breathtaking cliffside villages. Simply call 855-565-5519 or visit deeperfaithcruise.com for all the details.
Listen, it's been a beautiful. This is my take. It's been a beautiful summer.
Yes, I agree.
However, we are still in a weird allergy season, are we not?
Mm-hmm. We are in a weird allergy season.
My kid has allergies.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, what the heck? I thought he lost them.
I really haven't had allergies in my life. It's
I've
not
never
been something that I've struggled with.
Right. I mean, don't get all hot,
Oh, okay. So, but
braggy.
I'm not trying to get braggy. I'm just trying to tell you why.
I'm only kidding.
I was so surprised on Saturday.
Because the thing is, you want to go, I've never had it, and then you get, you know what I mean?
Right,
that's my worry.
Right.
I've never had that before.
Okay, well, that's exactly what I said. So it's Friday night. Last night that my youngest child is going to be home before we take her back to college. And so she asks for her favorite meal. I said, she says, I want scampi. I said, great, that's her favorite meal.
Shrimp scampi.
So I make shrimp scampi, which I don't want to brag, but I'm good at.
Maybe that's why you're allergic now. Eh?
So we sit down to eat it, and I've made it 100
in your
times.
sleep.
I've made it 100 times.
Yeah.
And I sit down to eat it, and I'm halfway through dinner, and all I can tell you is that my skin started to feel weird.
Really?
And I noticed it particularly in my face. And I was like, I had these, all of a sudden, I noticed these patches on my face that were really dry. And I thought, that's weird. What is going on? And then they started to get really itchy. And then my eyebrows Anyway.
What? And how much time is going by here?
20 minutes.
It's like the Hulk.
20 minutes.
Really?
So I'm just thinking, boy, like I need to work on my skin more. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, I go upstairs to use the restroom and I look at myself and I'm like, holy heck, what is going on?
Like a shrimp allergy now?
So from what I read, I think that perhaps I have spontaneously developed an allergy to shrimp, which is common with shellfish allergies, is that you're just,
it just comes
as an
upon
adult,
you
just spontaneously become allergic to
you
it.
can't have fun doing anything.
I've tried to think of every other thing that it could have been. I haven't come up with anything.
Well, how about this? Make scampi again
I know.
for me.
Okay.
I'll eat it.
Okay.
And then you just like walk around and see. Seriously, I'm so sorry to hear that.
If anyone has a seafood allergy, contact me.
Spontaneous.
It's not seafood. It's just shellfish.
Or maybe it's lemon or garlic.
Maybe it's the pepper I use.
101.5 WORD-FM Pittsburgh. On your smart speaker by saying, play the word Pittsburgh. And on your phone via the Word FM mobile app, iHeart, TuneIn, and Odyssey. Discount code ERIC.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Stocks deeply in the red on Wall Street, extending the market's losses amid worries about inflation and the path ahead for the economy. Investors looking ahead to this week's Federal Reserve conference for signals about more possible U.S. rate hikes to soothe the current inflation. The issues most important to American voters haven't changed as inflation and violent crime top the list.
The latest Rasmussen Report's national telephone and online survey finds that 85% of likely U.S. voters are at least somewhat concerned about inflation, including 57% who are very concerned. That's almost unchanged since May. The survey of 1,000 likely U.S. voters was conducted on August 17th and 18th. The margin of error was plus or minus 2% with a 95% level of confidence. Bernie Bennett reporting.
The Dow is down 680 points now. The NASDAQ off 334. This is SRN News.
Did you know that when you buy a mattress from a retail store, that mattress is being sold for the second time? What do I mean? Well, the manufacturer sells the mattress to the retailer, who in turn sells it to you with costs and markups for both parties. This is Greg Trzynski, and at the Original Mattress Factory, we have our own factory right here at our store. So the mattress you buy is being sold for the first and only time. That's why our prices are hundreds less than the mainstream brands. Visit originalmattress.com to learn more.
With a new college semester right around the corner, your student might need a new mattress for their apartment or dorm. At the Original Mattress Factory, we hand-build twin extra-long mattresses and box springs that are commonly used in college dorms. In fact, we offer twin extra-long mattresses in a variety of models to match every budget and comfort preference. And we can deliver to anywhere in the U.S., including colleges and universities. Visit originalmattress.com or an Original Mattress Factory store near you to learn more.
Now that I've got your attention, let me tell you all about us. Whoa, tough crowd. Anybody out there? Hello? Anyone?
Fighting to be heard in today's competitive digital world?
It's time for Salem Surround. Let us handle everything and get your message seen and heard.
Let's turn up the volume on your business with Salem Surround.
Learn more by logging on to surroundpittsburgh.com. Surroundpittsburgh.com.
There's nothing like hearing the songs you love on local radio with no subscriptions and no monthly fees. But there's a new bill in Congress that could stop the music. If passed, this bill would tax your local radio station simply to play the music you love. Text LOCAL to 52886 and ask Congress to support local radio stations. Help us keep you connected to the music, local news, weather, and traffic that you need each day. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Studies show decades of increased taxpayer spending per student has failed to improve educational performance. Can't we do better? Pittsburgh's Christian schools say we can. Right now, local Christian schools are offering half-price tuitions for first-time enrollees, like Cornerstone Prep in West Mifflin. If you're looking for a safe environment for kids to learn, where character matters and academic excellence is served by highly qualified teachers, consider Christian education. Visit wordfm.com/tuitions.
This is Tim Seckler inviting you to tune in each and every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. right here on Word FM 101.5 for the Life and Legacy Show, sponsored by my law firm, the Seckler Law Firm. Each week, we'll talk about your family's well-being as it relates to elder law, nursing home stays, estate planning, and keeping your hard-earned savings. And if you missed the Life and Legacy show, you will find it archived at secklerlawfirm.com. See you Saturday morning at 9 a.m. right here on Word FM 101.5 for the Life and Legacy show.
Mostly cloudy skies expected for tonight with a low of 62. Variable cloudiness tomorrow with a passing shower. Tomorrow's high 79. Partly cloudy skies tomorrow night with a low of 58. Wednesday, sunny to partly cloudy skies. A pleasant day on tap will reach a high Wednesday of 82. A starlit sky Wednesday night, low 60. Partly sunny Thursday with a high of 84. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm forecaster Drew Shannon.
Welcome to another edition of The Ride Home with John and Kathy, live from the Salem-Pittsburgh studios. And now here are your hosts, John Hall and Kathy Emmons.
You ever go out, say with another couple, you and your husband, and you're with a couple and having some dinner, and people have a drink or so, and the evening started out one way and it ends in another.
Listen, you and I have had this experience together. Where we've been on
out with
people,
business.
And we have business dinners that have ended up like that.
Right, I'm surprised.
Seriously,
you remember that. Yeah.
They started at one place, and by the time that night was over,
totally different. And we were the same.
Yeah,
for better or worse,
because we weren't drinking.
Yeah, and you go, what was that all about? What the heck happened there?
Right. I think I liked appetizers better than I liked dessert.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we're not the only ones that are talking about this. In fact, this is a big topic of conversation right now. There is a sober, curious movement which is developing across the United States. Those are people who wouldn't necessarily label themselves as alcoholics, but are still trying to curb or eliminate drinking for health reasons or maybe for other personal reasons.
All right. I'm not opposed to that at all. That makes good sense.
I think it does too, especially because I keep saying, in hopeful optimism that we're past the COVID era.
Well, we're not.
Well, of course we're not. But do you know what I mean? We're past the emergency section of it.
The shutdown.
Right.
The big old shutdown.
And a lot of people coped with shutdown by increasing their drinking. A lot of people who were doing social things, I'm going to get together with my girlfriends on Zoom because none of us can go out of our houses, and then that would invariably include drinking. Or I'm going to get together with my buddies and we're going to, watch a game at the same time where we're all on Zoom, and then we're going to, end up loaded by the end.
Well, did you ever like go on a date and have a drink and then you go, okay, I've gotten rid of my nervousness because I had a drink?
Never. I've
done that.
Christy's nodding too.
Just saying, because you're anxious,
Right.
I'm not saying, this is for everybody. Don't do this just because but just calm things down a little bit here.
Yeah, but if you're doing that, you're not learning how to calm down.
No.
Are you?
Well,
you're just masking it.
It's a different way of coping.
It sure is a different way of coping.
Right? It is, yeah.
Anyway, more than a third of people on the dating app Hinge, and this is according to the front page of today's Wall Street Journal, say they are more open to going on a sober date now versus a year ago. The preference is particularly pronounced among younger users, with 31% of people that are between 18 and 24.
Hey, great.
Okay, those are really young people saying they don't consume drinks on an average date.
Okay.
This is why. They said they'd rather meet potential partners for coffee, to maybe do a hobby together, like, some sport.
First date?
Or camping or whatever it is.
Hobby?
Or a stroll. Okay, because it might offer some genuine connection, and they say drinking gets in the way of that.
Yeah, well, I would imagine. Yeah, on a first date, to go to a bar and have a drink with somebody, you'd rather do coffee.
Oh,
right?
for way
for any number of
coffee.
Reasons. Because if you don't connect, you're drinking coffee and you're out the door. Otherwise,
not to mention, how much cheaper is coffee than alcohol?
Yeah, you got that right.
I mean, a lot.
Right.
Now, I'm reading on the Wall Street Journal that says on Tinder,
Oh, wait. Now we're quoting Tinder on the ride home. Oh, that's great.
On Tinder.
Oh.
Mentions, this is interesting though, mentions of the word sober increased 26% from 2020 to 2021 in people's bios.
Good. Because people got burnt out, maybe.
Yep. I think so. Yeah.
Can't do that again.
Yeah.
Did that.
Okay, so listen, there's a woman here, Michelle Wax. She's a dating coach from Boston. And she provides relationship counseling for the bargain price of $899, or you can go up to $1,600. It's a monthly fee. Okay.
What?
Yep.
Monthly
I'm
fee?
serious.
What?
Listen, she said that she urges her clients to limit alcohol intake on dates, and this is why. She said you can really fool yourself into thinking a date was fun when really you were just drunk.
Right. Thank you. That'll be $899. Get out of here.
Anyway, there's this other woman who was saying that she moved from San Francisco to her new home in Brooklyn, New York.
Because she went on first date,
has
drank,
nothing to do with that.
and had no idea
but she
where
was
she
trying to meet people. She's an art curator, right? She was having a hard time. So she started hiking on first dates. And she said that sharing an experience rather than a bottle allowed her and the people she was going on dates with to show more vulnerability and provides insight into the type of partner someone could become.
I guess.
What do you think?
Hey, get the guy lost in the woods going for a hike.
Here's the problem with hiking or biking.
It's too long.
Or running. Well, it could be too long, but what if one person's really good at that thing and the other person has no background
then you would
in
kind of
that
go,
thing?
that's not the person I want to hang out with because they're not
Okay,
interested
so
in
is that what's
physicality.
determining it? So I like to bike, and if you don't like to bike, I don't want to date you?
Yeah. No, I get that. Because this is my thing. You enjoy X, physical activity or going to the museum or whatnot. If you're not into that, then I don't want to hang out with you.
Well, that just seems like you're making a jump there. I mean, is biking your whole life or going to museums like the essence of you?
Maybe showing up at the office with spandex on. Just everybody's settled down.
That could be different. Christy, so those types of dates were like, hey, let's run a 5K or something.
Oh, no, 5K.
That's not happening. I've done a hiking date, and the worst part about it is you're super sweaty and you're gross.
Right.
And you're like, now I'm with this potential person, and and
I'm clearly not at my best.
I'm sweaty. He's sweaty. Like, I don't want to be near you now.
Yeah, that's not good. See,
I hadn't thought about that, to be honest with you.
I will never do it again.
Okay, there's a woman in this article who talked about she goes on surfing dates.
Well, wouldn't that be nice?
Well, you're not with them a lot,
No,
right?
right. You wave to them as you get wiped out. Love you. I love
I don't know. I do think.
First date, wow.
No, sorry.
Okay, I do think, though, that taking alcohol off the table,
it's healthy.
It's just healthier.
Yeah, it is.
And I'm not trying to be like, Terry teetotaler, but I do think that it's just you're if you want to find out if you're really compatible with somebody, taking a substance off the table, you're going to find out a lot faster.
100%. Right. Yeah. Best first date? Any idea of that was a really good first date?
Best first date.
Oh, well, you with the T-shirt.
Yeah, I mean, I had a pretty good first date with my husband. That was for sure. I mean, when he showed up wearing the Elect Leroy Anthony T-shirt. And then on the back it said for recording secretary. And I said, who's Leroy Anthony? And he said, I don't know. I got it for free at the post office.
You go, I got to marry this guy because there's more that I want to know about.
Who would do that?
Your husband.
Yeah.
And you love him.
It was very funny.
Okay, we'll take a quick break, come back. Oh, Sharon Hottie Miller is going to join us next. Yeah, cost of control, why we crave it, the anxiety it gives us, the real power God promises.
101.5 WORD.
Where things are really cooking, as well as baking, frying, and grilling. Got a favorite recipe you'd like to share?
A longtime favorite family recipe.
It could win you a $1,000 Williams-Sonoma shopping spree if you love being around a hot stove.
Being in the kitchen, cooking, I really love that.
Enter the Your Favorite Recipe sweepstakes today. Not only could you win lots of new cookware and cutlery, but your recipe could be published. Just go to wordfm.com/yummy. That's wordfm.com/yummy.
MyPillow's having their biggest sheet sale of the year. Hey, this is is John Hall. You've all helped build MyPillow into this amazing company. And now, Mike Lindell, inventor and CEO, wants to give back exclusively to his listeners. The Percale bedsheet set is available in a variety of colors and sizes, and they're all on sale. For example, the queen size is regularly priced at $89.98, but is now only $39.98 with our listener promo code. Order now, because when they're gone, they're gone. The Percale sheets are breathable, have a cool, crisp feel. These come with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible offer. There's a limited supply, so be sure to order now. Call 1-800-391-0954. Use promo code WORD. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener square, use the promo code WORD.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-940-6161. That's 1-800-940-6161. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-940-6161. SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Train up a child in the way they should go. Well, you know the rest. It's a calling you take very seriously as a Christian parent. And Trinity Christian School in Forest Hills seeks to honor your commitment by working together with parents to prepare students who are academically sound and spiritually ready to take their place in the world through a classical approach to education that helps build a faith from which they will never depart. Trinity Christian School, one of the top K-12 schools in Allegheny County, at trinitychristian.net.
I went to a bakery over the weekend. You know, one of the cool things is there's been this rise of these small sort of, and not in no way disparaging, a little shishi bakeries around town.
Yep.
Right? I mean, fabulous, incredible.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, Oppenheimer.
I mean, I like something that tastes good.
Yeah.
But I also appreciate a little bit of art in there, because here's the thing. I can make things that taste good.
Yeah.
I feel good about, like, I'm not a good baker. I mean, I think I'm a good baker. None of my things look good. You know what I mean? I don't have that. I don't really care. But I don't, you know what I mean? And so when I go into a bakery and I see people that can, like, present it, I love that.
Yeah, fabulous.
I really, really, I mean, do you think that makes it taste better?
Well, presentation, you know,
it's so much of it.
Of course it is. When something's beautiful. Wait, you're saying no?
I have been doing HelloFresh meals.
Have you?
They're not baking, but I love them. Yeah. And the whole, like, they show you how to present the plate. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I'm just making it for myself, but presentation is key.
Yeah, I agree.
I love that you're doing that, Christy.
All right, so I was in the bakery, the Shishi Bakery, and one of the employees there was a little concerned, I think, with the line. Like, you know, there were like 8 people in line. So that person was like, people, there was like this general announcement of like, people, could you please, you know, get in a little better single file and come against the wall, like we were being instructed. And I thought, well, that person really is in control. It's like a very particular thing that she wanted us to do. Mm-hmm. So I started thinking.
Do you like that?
No. I was like, I just want to get a muffin. I just want to get a muffin. All of a sudden, I'm being instructed. To your worldview here. Right, exactly. Anyway, I thought, well, later on, my wife and I talked about it, like the idea of some people really need, I mean, maybe it's like like an OCD thing. You really need to be in control to make sure that things fit your perspective. Otherwise, you just feel horrible. And so all of a sudden, we were being herded into this particular style.
Okay, let me tell you something else. What if you are at an event?
Yeah.
So this happened to me recently. I was at an event with, I would say, several hundred people. Mm-hmm. Okay. It was like a family party type of thing.
Wait, several hundred people in your family? Oh, there's like
It wasn't my family.
Okay.
I was a friend of the
I see,
family.
yeah.
So I was kind of an ancillary guest,
Oh,
right?
it's even better. Don't you love those things?
I do like that because then talk
No
about
pressure.
Right, no pressure on you. So you just can kind of sit and chat with whoever and say hi and look around, whatever. But here's the thing. Nobody was in control of the night.
Oh, no.
Do you see what I mean?
Well, we know this from doing events.
Yeah,
every event you go to, you have to have what I would call the stage manager.
Right.
There has to be the person who, this is the flow, the stage manager, right? Backstage, or whether someone's got to have the idea of what's happening.
Right.
Otherwise, chaos ensues.
If there's nobody in control, then I get anxious. Or I just want to leave.
Yeah.
Because it's just, what are we doing? Okay, what is there something what about this thing that we're going to do?
Wait,
when is
so
that
you were
happening?
at this event, several hundred people there, and you were getting anxious?
Yes.
You got anxious. So it ruined the time?
Kind of.
Was it out of control?
Yes. Because nobody knew what was going on.
What do you mean? Like, how
And
badly?
so it's like everybody has to figure it out. Well, I don't know who, I'm not sure who's doing, but we want to do that picture. We're going to do that group picture, right? I don't know who wants to set that up.
Well, that's
Those
why you need
people
an
are-
event planner.
But there was no event planner, so people are talking across the room to each other. Well, do you want to take the picture? Do you want?
No.
Okay. Well, what about? Well, we have a cake. Nobody knows what's going on with the cake. Do you know what I mean? It's just one of those things that you think this and again, it wasn't my family,
right?
So. It was fine. We were just invited because we were old neighbors of ours.
Yeah.
But as a person who is the recipient, you want the control person. So maybe you don't want the person at the bakery who's telling you that you have to be in line and be exactly 3 feet apart, but you also don't want
6.
You don't want nobody to know what they're doing.
Right. Okay, all that to say, do you think of yourself as a bit of a control freak?
Yes. Do you?
Yes.
Christy?
Of course.
Of course.
Which is right. Our common psychosis is what draws the three of us together.
Well, I mean, there are some people who look. Well, here, just our job is dependent upon seconds. Now, here we're supposed to talk about. The funny thing is, we're supposed to talk about control with a guest. The guest didn't show up. So where's the? Clearly, there's a lack of control there.
Sure.
Right? Something happened there. Did I screw that up? My first thought is, I messed this up. Somehow I didn't control this situation. I should have better control. What I should have done was, because it's a national guest, I should have reached out today and confirmed. Because I confirmed this probably 3 weeks ago, which I have wanted to do oftentimes in the past with a publicist. I've lost control. I'm indicting myself for lack of control.
So it's you. Right. It's your fault to do it.
Only thing that can make this worse is if I eat sailfish.
I think you'll be fine. I'm the one who'll have the problem.
I can't breathe.
And Teresa. And Ken and Pastor, what's his name? Who has to Dan, who has to bring his EpiPen.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay, so guest didn't show.
Yep.
Radio's live.
Right.
So we have to go on the air, and so we have to take control because we can't sit here and say, "What do you want to talk about?" No, what do you want to talk about? So you came on the air and you decided this is what we're doing.
Right. We're gonna have this conversation.
See, but are you okay bending to somebody else who's in control?
It always comes down to trust.
Oh, yeah.
Who do you trust?
Yeah.
I trust you implicitly.
Sure.
Because we have traveled this road
right.
8 million times.
Yeah, we've been on the edge of the precipice countless times.
Edge. We've fallen off the cliff. What are you talking about? The edge of the precipice.
Yeah, I wish I was on the precipice, right?
Who do you trust?
Yeah.
In your life, who do you trust? Who has shown themselves in high drama and chaos to be the person that you count on in control? Right? Every marriage, right? Every marriage has a balance there, right? Dad's like this, mom's like this. The kids from the back seat, they're counting like my story with the goat. My wife falls asleep. She's like, honey, you're bad with directions. I am horrible with directions. I got this. Oh, she's like, okay, good. Because she's always the navigator.
Okay.
She'll tell us where to go. I'm going to fall asleep here for a little bit, so we're on the way to the beach. Okay, great. She falls asleep, literally 20 minutes later, I'm talking to the kids. Somehow, I get off the exit on the highway. we find ourselves, I don't know how, this is a true story. I don't know how I did this. We get off the highway. I'm on a dirt road. There is nothing around. And I look around and I wake up my wife and I was like, honey, we're lost. She wakes up, doesn't scold me, doesn't go, you idiot, what are you thinking? She goes, oh. Then she looks, because he's kind of sleepy, waking up. She looks down the road and she says, is that a dog down there? And from the back seat, my kid goes, that's a goat. That's how lost we were. We're on a dirt road with a goat. When 20 minutes prior, we're on an interstate highway. She looks at the sun and she goes, okay, well, the sun is this. Go down here. And within 3 minutes, there we were. We were back on the road.
Is that
again.
right?
She's in control. Am I going to fight that? I know exactly.
No, because you trust her ability to do
her
it.
skill set. She's like off the charts with that kind of stuff. I know. For me, I know. I need some help.
Okay, but what
I'll
about
give up control?
Okay, what about in your family situation? Christy, I'm going to ask you this too, so don't think you're skating. In your family situation, would your kids say you're a control
You're
freak?
the guys. Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh, would they really?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, because look at Sunday morning. Like your Sunday morning is different than my Sunday morning. But everybody who if you're a church goer, everybody knows the lay of the land on Sunday morning. This is what happens. She's always late. He can't find his shoes. It's 5 minutes before service starts and somebody's still in the shower. My job is, as the guy, especially as this background where we're looking at seconds and being in control, everybody, there's an order here. Let's go, you guys. Blah, blah, blah. So, a half an hour before we're ready to leave, I'm already going, you guys good? You're making sure the parameters are set. Okay. What about, and we're checking off, at least in my mind, the boxes as we reach that critical point of
can we leave?
Right, we're leaving, You know how that is.
Yeah.
Within the marriage? Yeah.
Okay, but in my family, it switches. So if it's leaving, going anywhere, whether going on vacation, going to church, going to whatever it is.
You're lagging behind.
Exactly. And my husband is the one who's down in the car. Right.
Oh, he's waiting. Oh, see, I am not doing that.
Yeah.
Because if you wait in the car, you've essentially given up.
Oh, really? You've seated it?
Of course you have.
Well, he probably at this point just wants to sit down, for crying out loud. Anyway, but
I have given up.
But in the rest of things, like when we're having dinner or who's coming for dinner or what we're eating for dinner or what the house looks like or how that's my kids would say I'm the control freak there. Mm-hmm. I cannot stand to have a messy house. No. You and I are the same way. I cannot stand that. So the first thing I do is I don't care, if it's late at night, I'm going to bed, I'm not cleaning up that. But the first thing I do when I get up in the morning is come and clean everything up. That's the way it is. And I always say to my kids, could you do the dishes? And then they say yes, but then they don't completely do the dishes. Do you know what I mean? To me, doing the dishes is there is nothing in the sink. There's nothing on the counter. It is done.
Right.
So they would say I'm the control freak.
Right. Or where does this go? You've lived in this house for 19 years. Right. Clearly, you must have some clue where this goes.
Right. Christy, your need for control, how that worked in your family with all your sibs.
Yeah, so there was 4 of us and my parents. My dad is always 15 minutes early.
Good man.
My mom is 15 minutes late.
Oh, God help you. Oh, that's the worst. So there's just a natural built-in tension there.
A little bit.
Right, where everybody has been there.
How do the siblings react to that, though? How do they float between those two extremes?
My sister is always late and we're always I would always be late to school and we were yelling at her, like, let's go. But my brothers and myself were always, we're ready to go and we're early.
Yeah. Well, no, still, as the producer, here you are producing. Right. You're always in control. We have total confidence in you.
Yep.
I mean, you got it together here. I don't know.
It all depends on who you're with.
Well, your point is really interesting about where you are, who's got control. Right, because there are some areas where the guy's in control. That's really interesting. I never thought about it that way.
And some people who, I think the best stage managers or MCs or whoever it is, those people can be in control without having to assert their control. You know what I mean? Not having to wear it.
Right.
They
being emotional about it.
Right. Like they are it. They're not wearing it.
Right.
And the people who wear it are the people that you instinctively don't like or don't trust.
Or spoil the party.
Or resent or spoil the party.
Because, you get somebody who's like messing. Yeah, we were just trying to have a good time. Well, yeah, we're going to get there. And then all of a sudden there's like a stain on the evening. Like a pall has been cast over it. I've done that.
You've been the person to cast the pall?
Of course I have. Because I remember one time we had, my kid was a gigantic Chicago fan.
Chicago?
The band.
Oh, got it.
He loved the band.
I thought you were saying the Cubs.
We brought one of the guys on the air here years and years ago. And he was so great. He was like... Walt Paradaser, come on to the show. I want to give you, let's have dinner together. I was like, are you kidding me? We're going to have pre-show dinner with Chicago. My kid was like levitating. We were late. We missed it.
You're kidding.
Oh, was I hot? Oh, I was like, just one of those like epic family stories. You go,
right.
Remember when Dad
and did you lose your mind?
I did. And I ruined it. Because everybody else was late, and I was like, come on, everybody. I was like trying, we must move forward now. No, it just ruined. It's the worst. I mean,
I can only imagine how wretched that was. Oh, my gosh.
How about, isn't shame weird? Like I tell the story, and I'm ashamed of it was like more than a decade ago.
Right,
but still, I go, I hate myself.
But the rest of your family has to hate themselves, too, for being late.
Oh, no. When we tell the story, the hate always comes back to Dad. We miss that. We glide over everybody else's participation or lack thereof in the moment, but we always come back to that guy.
When we come back, it's our daily feature.
Oh, the feature is.
Does this make sense?
Does this make sense? Control. Well, the guest didn't show. We took control, for better or worse.
If you are 65 or older, you know this. It's really frustrating to deal with out-of-pocket medical expenses, just watching your hard-earned dollars flying out the window. Well, here's something that can really help, and it's worth taking a minute to look into. Medi-Share has a new option. It's called Medi-Share 65 Plus. And Medi-Share is a community of Christians who share each other's healthcare bills. It really is a community, too. People encourage and pray for each other. Medi-Share 65 Plus is a low-cost option for those with Medicare Parts A and B, and it fills in the gaps where Medicare stops. It's a great way to fight inflation, too. You can lock in one low monthly price for up to 10 years, and you can use your Medicare-approved doctor, and you also get telehealth 24/7 service, so you don't have to leave your home for the little stuff. Very worth looking into, and it's so easy to. Find out why people rave about the customer service at Medi-Share. They're easy to talk to. Call 1-800-PSALM-16. That's 1-800-PSALM-16. 1-800-PSALM-16.
It appears as though the school season is upon us. And if you are the parent of a rising senior and you're thinking about school season and next year,
where are we going to be? Are we behind? Maybe we should have figured out where he's going to go by now.
Right. And I know she's a motivated student, so let's go on the school tour carnival ride. And all of a sudden you find yourself 2, 3, 4, 5 different schools, colleges, universities. Might we say, put Grove City College on that list. Mm-hmm. It's not that far from the city of Pittsburgh. Fabulous campus, beautiful campus. Truly, in the middle of it all, though, are a bunch of people who are believers in Jesus Christ, and the curriculum runs through everything that is Christ-centered. Mm-hmm. High science, arts, you name it, the heft of intellectualism is alive and well at Grove City College.
And also, if you're looking for a community for your child, you're looking for a community of people who are just like your kid, trying to figure it out, trying to figure out how to follow Jesus and how to be really good in their particular line of work, this is the school to consider because you've got unbelievably talented, dedicated faculty. You've got a small college campus. They're going to get a lot of education, a lot of attention, and a lot of community.
GCC.edu, Grove City College.
Listen on your smart speaker at wordfm.com, the Word FM app, iHeart, TuneIn, and on Odyssey. In your car or at home, too, at 101.5 WORD FM, Pittsburgh.
Mostly cloudy skies expected for tonight with a low of 62. Variable cloudiness tomorrow with a passing shower. Tomorrow's high 79. Partly cloudy skies tomorrow night with a low of 58. Wednesday, sunny to partly cloudy skies. A pleasant day on tap will reach a high Wednesday of 82. A starlit sky Wednesday night, low 60. Partly sunny Thursday with a high of 84. With your AccuWeather forecast, I'm forecaster Drew Shannon.
Does this make sense?
This is what makes sense.
See, I already know the answer to this. Late night snacking.
Oh. Late night snacking is akin to the highest order of mankind.
It is.
It is.
It really is.
It's hard to overestimate.
That's how I feel.
I do. I live. Seriously. The oxygen in my lungs is late night snacking.
I go most of the day without eating.
Me too. Me too. I'll have something to drink.
Right.
But then dinner comes, and then it's like...
all of a sudden, the shackles have fallen off.
The universe awaits. Oh, count me in, my friend.
There's nothing but potential for me after 9 p.m.
Hey, you have a 9-course meal? Yeah, but you know what? There's room for chips. There's room for chips.
I could have had the biggest dinner where I wouldn't need to eat for 3 days, and I'm like, yeah, but just a little snack.
I'm 100% in. Oh, I can't help it.
That's the worst.
Yeah, my wife will go, oh, no, I'm kind of full. I'm like, really? I don't think so. I haven't met a snack. I have not met a snack that I would not eat.
Or if confronted with the same snack at 11 a.m. or 3 p.m., I have zero interest in. You show it to me at 10:30, and I'm like, yes.
Oh, these are chocolate-covered figs. Would you like these? I would. I really would. Yes, I would.
And you pair that with a good thing to watch on TV, all I can say is look out.
I'm not going anywhere. I have found my home.
All right, so the bottom line is that it does make sense, but it doesn't make sense because it's defeating the purpose of eating well.
No, it makes sense.
All right.
I think about this the other day because I was environmentally, I'm just going to say this. Paper towels.
Oh.
Do they make sense?
100%.
I'm in too. But there are times when I go, oh.
I know.
Oh.
I know. But don't you love them?
I do.
I would give up all of my cloth towels.
Yeah, me too.
If I had to pick.
I love paper towels so much, I'd get a tattoo on my neck of a roll.
A Selecta-Size.
Yeah. Oh, only Selecta-Size. Don't give me that.
No, don't give me. I don't want the full size anything.
I love Selecta-Size.
I love Selecta. It's one of my favorite things about a kitchen is having the Selecta-Size available.
Late night snacks with a Selecta-Size. I mean, I have simple needs.
I combine them.
Yeah.
You just put your snack on the Selecta-Size.
Exactly.
You don't have to do the dish.
Simple needs.
You're good to go.
Oh, exactly.
Makes sense.
100%. Well, that was a slam dunk.
That was easy.
Yeah, I think we've probably not
all
agreed.
Of our worst tendencies make sense.
Yep. We're telling family secrets. I'm like yelling at my family. With the Selecta-Size, everything's better. Love you guys.
101.5 WORD.
Turning Point with David Jeremiah.
We are His children. We are chosen. If we're Christians, we belong to the royal family. Can I get a witness? And we should know that so that we can know how important it is to live up to who we are.
Dr. David Jeremiah continues his series, Christ Above All, next time on Turning Point.
This evening at 7:30 on 101.5 WORD.
What if you went from 10 years old to 25 years old in just a few years?
Okay, Ms. Creepy.
Like from Let's Play Dolls to I can't believe the stock market today.
Or like triple mac and cheese, please, to I'd like the triple double kale salad with beets, please.
Uncle Ryan says the value of people's homes have jumped like 15 years worth, lickety-split.
Uncle Ryan said lickety-split?
Most of our homes have made a decade or two type jump in value. Pretty much lickety-split, like never before. Usually, people move homes when they gain that much value. But that's not happening either because of how expensive homes are, which is why cash-out refinances are a triple mac and cheese hot thing right now. Cashing out that newly spiked value to use for home updates, paying off debt, or just life. If you'd like to see your options, you'll never get any pressure from us at United Faith Mortgage.
United Mortgage Corp, Melville, New York. NMLS number 1330. Pennsylvania Department of Banking and Securities. Mortgage lender license 22672.
MyPillow is having their biggest sheet sale of the year. Hey, this is John Hall. You've all helped build MyPillow into this amazing company. And now, Mike Lindell, inventor and CEO, wants to give back exclusively to his listeners. The Percale bedsheet set is available in a variety of colors and sizes, and they're all on sale. For example, the queen size is regularly priced at $89.98, but is now only $39.98 with our listener promo code. Order now, because when they're gone, they're gone. The Percale sheets are breathable, have a cool, crisp feel. These come with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible offer. There's a limited supply, so be sure to order now. Call 1-800-391-0954. Use promo code WORD. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener square, use the promo code WORD.
For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com.
When it comes to your child's education, do you feel like you have a partner in your current school? Or is it more like you're on your own? As you look ahead to next year, now's a perfect time to consider a quality Christian education with a school who will be a true educational partner for you and your family. Many of our area's finest Christian schools are offering half-price tuitions for first-time enrollees, like Champion Christian School in Champion, PA. Find a school that's right for you at wordfm.com/tuitions.
Social pressure to have the so-called right opinion is pervasive in America today. In recent years, polls have consistently found that most Americans across all demographics feel that they cannot share their honest opinions in public for fear of offending others or incurring retribution.
Oh, that's really tragic.
The trend is concerning because of the threat that it poses to individual freedoms, community flourishing, and democratic self-government. I'm reading from a website called Populous. One important but underappreciated consequence of a culture of censorship is that it can lead individuals not only to self-silence, but also to publicly misrepresent their own private views, what scholars call preference falsification. It is essential to understand the extent to which people are misrepresenting their views today, because when preference falsification becomes widespread in society, it can result in collective illusions that drive false polarization, erode trust, and hold back progress. In revealing the private opinions of the American public across a range of sensitive topics and surfacing areas where the misrepresentation of private views have established a false consensus in the public narrative, we aim to contribute to a more open and honest political and social discourse. Do you do this?
Where are you reading this from?
I'm reading from a website called Populous. Populous Insights, Private Opinion in America and Why People Hold Back Their True Thoughts.
Do you ask me if I do this?
Yes.
All the time. Almost 100% of the time.
Wherever? I mean, at home.
Not at home. Not with you guys. Most of the time. I mean, well, so let's say 90% of the time. I do
You
that.
self-censor for the sake of peace and lesser anxiety when you find yourself in social situations.
Yes. Do you?
Yes.
Christy?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Well, some people don't. Some people just don't care, right? They just, your Uncle Ed. There's a lot of Uncle Eds out there, right? But we do ourselves a disservice.
Do we?
Yes. Yes,
I don't
100%.
know.
Yes.
I don't know. I think maybe it's the better choice.
opine?
Well, if we're talking an opinion on politics, which is what everybody has an opinion on now, but it can also be an opinion on theology, denomination, you know what I mean?
Okay,
like church-related stuff.
No, wait. No, I went to a family function recently. People that I love dearly. We didn't talk politics.
That's awesome. That's really good. Very healthy.
And I think maybe like because of what we're all saying is that everybody's aware of this. So I think we're less inclined to be public as a group.
Well, that's good. I think that's a good sign.
But do you think we're a lesser society because of that?
Yeah, that's a hard question. I think probably we are, but it's like one of those things. It's like it would be great to be able to hang out in a restaurant, or it'd be great. Let's say this. It'd be great to be able to drink socially. But if you have a drinking problem, you can't do that. So you have to avoid the social drinking and the situation that it's in.
Right.
Because we as a country have determined that we have a problem with disagreeing and being so poisonous about it.
We don't do it well.
We don't do it well. So we can't do it at all.
Right.
And it's probably better that we don't get into it rather than getting into it and making a complete hash of it.
Right. I remember when I first stopped drinking, you'd go to like these events, and I would see this oftentimes, at large events and I did this, where if you're at a wedding and waiters are walking around and we're doing wine or something, you know what I mean? Everyone's getting wine. I would turn my glass upside down. Like, just pass me by.
Don't even ask me.
Right. So in some ways,
that's smart. So this is similar.
Right. That I don't even want to go there with you. I don't need to go there with you. And I'm going to signal to you by turning my glass or zipping my mouth or changing the subject so we don't have to go there.
And maybe if you have a particularly hard time with having strong opinions, the turning of the glass over, I mean, that could be, you could be doing that symbolically by saying, you know what, I'm not strong enough or in control of myself enough to enter into a conversation like this, so I'm just not doing it.
But the problem is, people who have the strong opinions, they're the last ones who are turning the glass over. You know
it's
that.
The same with alcohol.
Right? Yeah. Right? I mean, if you get a strong opinion, it doesn't matter. Who cares? Look, who cares? Because you're speaking your piece. Now, by us saying this, people go, "What? You guys don't have strong opinions? You're on the radio.
We do have strong.
Of course, you should have strong opinions, right? Is this an opinion show?
Well, we could make this an opinion show
and blow up the room and chase away 50% of our listenership. Right? You would. So we do something here a little differently in our opinions.
Oh, and a lot of radio is different than this now. Most radio is different than 100%. This now, because most people are going to go for the low-hanging fruit or the red meat and say, I believe this, and I'm going to say it out loud, and I'm only going to have listeners that agree with me on this issue.
Today's show, have we not laughed?
We have laughed.
There's the difference. For the sake of feeling better and having a better time, we choose not to go there. And I think whether that's here in this room, 50,000 watts over the tri-state, or at a family gathering or at a social function, we just went to a wedding. We went to a wedding, I don't know, 3 weeks ago. We had a great time. We sat around the table. There were 4 couples. I didn't know any of these people. And you know how that is. You're going to go, who are we going to sit with? Right? There's always that fraught. Right. What's this going to be like? How's the mix going to be? The 4 couples, man, we had a blast. And we laughed. And it didn't delve into anything weird or unusual.
So there was nothing contentious that was brought up or nothing?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so do you think that discretion is the better part of valor?
Yes. Yes, 100%. Falstaff.
Yeah. But the article that you read from, would you say it was Populous?
Yes.
I think it does make a good point that if there's no place other than the 4 walls of home when we can safely share our opinion about something, then there's not going to be a whole lot of benefit that we gain from each other in our society.
Look at online.
It's so
if you want to
poisonous.
mix it up, you want to go online? You want to be part of it?
No, I don't want to be a part of that, which is why I self-select.
I don't post. I am not going to go there. You want to carry that with you? You want to engage there? That's not pretty or kind or generous to anyone in any way, shape, or form. Make you feel bad about yourself and mankind, humankind.
Right. Christy, are you ever tempted to post opinions on Twitter in particular?
No, never. Ever.
Because you don't want the backlash.
Yes.
Right.
It hurts too much. You can't. Like, that's the last thing you're going to think about before you go to bed at night. Oh, gee, I posted that, and all of a sudden I get into a fight with that guy, and that person's going to do this, and that's going to... Who needs that?
Okay, Christy, you're still in your 20s.
Mm-hmm.
When you're out with people who are of a similar age bracket, let's say between 25 and 40, are people talking about contentious topics?
Oh, yeah. And it can get heated, and that's why I just kind of back up slowly and get out of the conversation.
Does it make you feel, even if you're not expressing anything, like, are you entertained by watching it, or does it make you uncomfortable?
A little bit of both. So it depends on who I'm with. Because if it's just like my friends and they're going at it, it's funny. But if it's like somebody brings another friend and I don't really know them, and now the conversation's getting heated, then I'm uncomfortable.
Oh, because it's the cringe factor.
Yes.
It's so high. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Okay, Christy, do you think that we're better off or worse off for self-censoring?
I don't know. I don't think I know the answer.
You mean here?
No,
you say no?
I mean in
or
life.
just society?
In society.
Well, I don't necessarily believe that we do self-censor. We all have online. If you want to jump into that maelstrom,
Yeah, but forget online.
that's where most people live their lives.
Okay, but let's not talk about that. Let's talk about when you are like actually with humans in the same space. Are you? Do you said at the beginning that you don't say what your actual opinion on things is.
But for those I love and for those I treasure time well spent, yes, I need to tell the truth. But I also don't want to alienate everybody around me and create hard feelings so that we don't gather frequently and want to be together.
All right, so you're prioritizing what you think is the better thing.
For the good of all of us, right? Nobody wants to be with a blowhard, loudmouth.
Okay, but think about a group of friends that you might have. Christy, the same thing for you. Do you have a group of friends, whether it could be family, who you really can be honest with?
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
And what's that feel like?
Love. Authentic. You reveal who you are.
And do they all agree with you?
No. I know that for a fact. But I also know that no matter what's said, they're still going to love me and be with me because they love me more than whatever the news headlines are of the day or the blowing political winds or anything like that. No matter what will happen, I believe that these people know me and love me enough that they're going to be with me. And that's so key. That's why you choose your friends and your family. That's why you choose your friends especially. Your family's in a whole other story.
Christy, do you have a community of people like that?
Yes.
Hallelujah. Do you?
Yeah. And I was thinking as you were talking over these last few minutes that I keep thinking about those people in my head. And I think it's so easy when you can actually share what you think. And you might be wrong. And you might change your mind. But they're not going to judge you for it or jump down your throat for it.
No, they'll probably make fun of you.
Right.
Which is even better.
Fair.
Right? Exactly. Right? Yeah. Remember whenever you were like, supporting blah, 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 and you were like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't that stupid.
I lost my mind. Forgive me.
Exactly.
I love you. Okay, good.
Right.
Okay.
I do think we're losing out societally, though. I think we're the poorer for it. But I still think it's probably the better choice.
Does it come down to having a better way to speak and forgive?
Yeah. Which would start with me not judging somebody else for saying the wrong thing.
So society, just in general, we've lost our sense of grace.
Yeah, for sure.
right?
Oh, there's.
I mean, there is grace. We need grace in our lives.
It's a merciless society right now.
Yeah. All right.
So let's bring the mercy.
Just trying to solve the world.
Coming up next, one dress, 8 weddings. Brides in one family have worn the same gown for 72 years. What if they're like different sizes?
Is your marriage getting the time it deserves?
Life gets in the way too much.
We need to make this a priority.
To remember why God made this design.
Join us in Pittsburgh, September 23rd through the 25th, or in Akron, October 14th through the 16th.
To have this time so that we can work on our marriage, it's such a blessing.
Register today and save 50% through September 19th at weekendtoremember.com.
It's ironic. Black people in America are the freest, safest, most prosperous black people in the history of the world. There is no country in this world that a black person would rather be. Unless, of course, they grow up in this country. Then they're fed a lie that is so deceptive.
The system in America was never built for black people.
Racist from top to bottom, and for black people to be.
They actually believe the opposite of that which is true.
From executive producer Larry Elder and director Justin Malone comes the continuation of their 2020 hit film, Uncle Tom.
It's very clear there was an intention to use black people to affect change.
Uncle Tom Part 2, An American Odyssey, starring Bodie Baucham, Brandon Tatum, and Chad O. Jackson. Available on Salem now.
Do you need new blinds or shades? Blindster.com offers custom-made blind shades and shutters shipped directly to you at prices less than big box retailers. Blindster blinds are easy to install and guaranteed to fit. Don't overpay for new blinds. Shop Blindster today and save big. Blindster.com.
New message.
Hey, man, it's Devin. You know, from that time you accidentally emailed me because you thought I was a different Devin. Oh, and your email signature said confidential. If you receive this in error, please delete. That's so you. Anyway, I heard you bought a boat. When are we setting sail, Captain?
When you get a boat, you also get new friends. Make sure Progressive's one of them and get coverage today for as little as $100 a year.
Oh, and no, you did not receive this message in error.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Annual premium for basic liability policy not available in all states.
What is a warrior? At Portersville Christian School, it's more than a team name. A warrior is taught to serve, to passionately model the love of Christ toward neighbor, community, and world. To learn as they cultivate academic excellence and a lifelong love of learning from kindergarten to senior year. And to lead through Christian character and integrity. Are you a warrior? Discover Portersville Christian School just 15 minutes north of Cranberry, where warriors are made at ourpcs.org.
Ask Alexa to play the word Pittsburgh to hear us there. We're on your Google speaker too, plus iHeart, TuneIn, and on Odyssey. 101.5 WORD-FM, Pittsburgh.
Do you still have your wedding dress?
Yes.
Stored away somewhere?
Mm-hmm. I didn't store it well. Like I didn't pay for the, whatever you do to keep it all like in a good
airtight
state. Yeah, I never did that.
Well, I saw an article in the Washington Post. One wedding dress, 8 weddings, 8 brides in the same family, 72 years.
Oh, it's incredible.
So there's a story. Her name is Adele Larson Stoneberg. Her mother in 1950 took her to Marshall Field's department store in downtown Chicago. She bought a dress, her wedding dress, for $100. The perfect fit for a bride in 1950 and almost every decade after the fact. She then, after she got married, loaned it to her 2 sisters for their weddings. Then as the years went on, her daughter, Adele's daughter, and then 3 nieces asked if they could wear it as they walked down the aisle.
Oh, my gosh.
And this month, 72 years after Adele Stoneberg tied the knot at Ebenezer Lutheran Church, her granddaughter, Serena Sternberg, wore the same dress at the same church. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yep. The granddaughter says, there was no question that I would become the 8th bride to wear the dress. It is a long sleeve gown with a floor-length train, high collar, tiny, elegant buttons down the back. The grandmother, unfortunately, is now deceased, but relatives in the pew pews included an aunt, her great aunts, several cousins who had taken their own turn wearing Adele's classic gown. She said this, when I started to walk down the aisle on August 5th and thought about my grandmother also wearing the dress, the emotion hit me. I felt a special connection to her walking down the aisle on that day. I mean, they said it's a very classic dress, a beautiful bodice, a mandarin collar, lots of buttons. When you touch the high-quality satin, you realize that it's way above average. She said the dress had been taken excellent care of, stored in an airtight box, and it's the perfect dress for the day. I mean, it's fabulous. I'm going to send you this article.
Yeah,
it shows all 8 brides.
You have to see all the brides wearing the dress. It's fabulous.
It really is. I mean, minor adjustments. They said they wore different veils, of course, different jewelry. One bride wore the mandarin collar unbuttoned, but for the most part, it was what it was. Fabulous. Hey, thanks for being with us. We kind of ran the gamut here today as far as conversation. Podcast is up and running after we leave the show. It's the ride home. Have yourself a great night. We'll see you tomorrow, God willing.